So what's going on? So what I think about Walt Clyde Frazier saying that Michael Jordan doesn't belong in the GOAT conversation. He says, in his opinion, he says Oscar Robinson was more versatile. He said Will Chamberlain was more dominant and Bill Russell won more rings. I ain't got no problem with that because Walt Clyde Frazier grew up seeing these guys. And every generation era has those arguments. And for the record, I don't think Jordan is the greatest, but that sure as heck ain't no LeBron James either. I think that there is no one guy to say the greatest because it's subjective. Because what's your criteria, you know? And you can always say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar dominated high school, college, and the pros. So you can go about 4 or 5 different people. You can say Magic Johnson played multiple positions and went to 9 finals, won 5 of them, 13-year career. That's something to marvel at. His dominance, the way he changed the point guard position. You can say Shaquille O'Neal because of the dominance, the last guy to three-peat in the finals, and they had to change the rules and regulations. He's the last guy that's played basketball where they had to change the rules and the concepts because he was so dominant and his impact was so found, and he won wherever he went, etc. So you could make cases for a lot of different people. Tim Duncan, 5-time champion, power forward, was an incredible talent. Was he a power forward? Was he a center? Debatable. Now, some people might not put him as the GOAT, but you can put those kind of guys in the conversation, and you wouldn't be out of your mind because there's a difference of how people feel. Some people may say Dr. J, some may say Kobe, some, it depends on how well you come down. Some may say Larry Bird, his dominance, his impact, multiple league MVPs. It all depends on what you want to come down to it, But I understand what Walt Clyde Frazier is saying. And the one thing that, I remember hearing Oscar Robertson say, he seems to have some kind of favoring for LeBron. But one thing he said against Jordan, he said that Jordan was the most marketed. And there's truth to that. But I think that if I said it about Jordan, I got to say it about LeBron. They put the money on him. You know how the NBA plantation is. They push an agenda. They've always pushed an agenda, and they want to sell it a certain way. Just because you win don't mean you win. Ask Isaiah Thomas. They never put him where he belongs as a top tier type of player. To an extent, they've done it to Elijah one too. I'm just saying. So what's your criteria? But I understand what Walt Clyde Frazier is saying. This is not no old school get off my lawn hate, because realistically, how could you argue against an Oscar Robertson? How could you? He was a walking triple double, and to me, even though Russell Westbrook's are impressive, Oscar Robinson's on another level because there was hand-to-hand contact defense, and no three-point line. So for what Oscar Robinson accomplished, and in that lane with all those bigs, to do what he did, he was a pretty special player. And then Wilt Chamberlain's like the Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, whoever you want to put as your greatest quarterback or more for stats or something, that's your man. Wilt Chamberlain's in his own category, so you really can't even, he's his own world. And Bill Russell, come on now, defense wins championships. He led the anchor. He was leading that team, and he always psychologically and fundamentally would let you know how he was going to stop it, and he welcomed the challenge. So he was crazy with it. A lot of people don't do it, plus living in that racist town, Boston, so to still have that energy and fight, that was a tough man. So Walt Clyde Frazier ain't lying. Now, does Jordan belong in the GOAT conversations? He do, but you can say he's one of the greatest ever. But I can also understand why somebody who grew up in a particular era feels that they saw the best. They know the best. They don't want to hear the NBC crew, the TNT crew, or the ESPN crew, or the Fox Sports and them try to modernize somebody and players who benefited from a more watered down time, and it was a different era. And it's a fact. And it doesn't mean it was plumbers and janitors and painters and cable guys and leaflet leavers and canvassers. Cats could flat out play ball. It's the eras. Everybody's era. Doesn't make you less than, doesn't necessarily make you better than, but it's impressive. You've got to respect, because I always say, in order to look ahead, you got to look behind you and respect what came before you, because that gets lost a lot. Please like, subscribe with them thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like. Hit the membership. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free, stay true. And Walt Clyde Frazier was a top 50 player, top 75 player, and a great basketball announcer. And he does great color commentary, product spokesman. and the guy is very sharp. So you're not dealing with someone that was just a second, third hand, because he wasn't on Walt Clyde Frazier, and he is a classy cat on and off the court. He doesn't always get his due. So I have no problem with no one who speaks their truth and says how they feel. I'm out one time. Peace.